For this recipe of rum balls served with orange liqueur, one necessary thing that you can't do this without is a food processor, so make sure you have that first. In addition to the last thing, you're also going to need a cutting board, a knife, and also a sieve. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Baking with Agility. Today we're going to be transforming fruitcake into rum balls. Since I don't have rum, I'm going to be using Grand Marnier. A little bit naughty this year, there's some alcohol. Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I've already got all of it measured. I just wanted to show you what Grand Marnier looks like. You can use rum too, but you want to use about 1/8 of a cup, which is 2 tablespoons. You can use Grand Marnier, you can use rum, you can really use anything. You can probably even use extracts. I haven't played around with that yet though. So to start with, you're going to need fruitcake and walnuts. So let's get started. You're going to need to cut your fruitcake into about 1/2 inch cubes, but since we're actually going to put this all in a food processor, what I think you should do is just cut it up super fine. And you're definitely going to need fruitcake first for this, so find any recipe. But I recommend if you have one that isn't like this one, this is my mom's, find a recipe that has like a lot of molasses in it, or just add a lot of molasses to yours and take some other moisture out or whatever. It's just, I can't believe how good it is. I don't eat fruitcake often, but this one is really over the top. So just, I'm sure it works just as fine with other fruitcakes, but I feel like if you have a molasses one, it works really well with this. So just cut them pretty small, like that. And then we're going to move on to the nuts. So since these are pretty much halves, these are walnuts by the way, you're going to need about 4 ounces, which is equivalent to 1 cup. So we've got 1 cup of walnuts that are about to be halves, or smaller at least. And then we've got 5.5 ounces of fruitcake. So that's all done. So we're going to throw the fruitcake part into the food processor. Food processor right here. Take the top off. We're going to pulse this, but I'm also going to just put it in there just on the on button. And it's going to be super fine. But first we need to put the fruitcake in, and then we also have to chop up the walnuts and put those in too. It's more simple, and you'll be happy if you have your cutting board or whatever surface you're using pulled right next to it, so then you can just transfer it right over there and then really gets all over your counter or on the floor. So just get as much of it as you can, because it's pretty hard to pick up when you get down to these little bits compared to like cookie batter. So once that's done, I'm going to put it in there. Now we're going to chop up these walnuts. Walnuts. Sorry. So to do this, you're just going to do this kind of grip with like 3 or 4 fingers on the front of the knife. You know, like bring it out, push it in, kind of bring it around. And you're definitely going to need to be doing a lot of this scraping and using both hands. Just be careful, because it is a knife. It doesn't need to be super fine, but it actually takes a lot less time if the walnuts are already pretty fine. So I'm going to get these all roughly the same size by doing this motion over and over. And then try to transfer if some get uneven. Make like 2 piles of the bigger ones. Like have 2 piles with one with the bigger ones that haven't been chopped enough. Chop those and then just push them into your finer ones once they get chopped. The key here is to not have like any just big halves in there. I mean, it doesn't really need to be even at all or look good yet, because it's all going in the food processor. So that's roughly the same size. I'm going to do one more quick chop, and there we go. So it's kind of hard to transfer this into here because I have this little trench here to like hold liquid. So I'm just going to use my hands to transfer it into the food processor. So really what we're going to do here is we're going to pulse this and also just turn it on until it gets really, really fine. Or at least, well, you'll really just know it when you see it, and I'll show you. But it doesn't need to be like, it doesn't need to be like really, really, really fine, but it needs to be really fine. And you'll understand that when I say it. But it's nice to have some of your other stuff already done, so it's faster. To do sifted things, it actually takes a little bit of elbow grease to do it because it's just so time consuming and your arm feels like it's going to snap off. So you're going to use a mesh strainer, also known as a sieve or a sieve, and that's got like this kind of handle. And what you want to do, and I've already done this for mine, but I'm just going to teach you. You're going to tap with the rim of the metal here onto like the middle of your palm, and that'll also create a shield to make sure all the sugar or cocoa or whatever you're moving over here doesn't splat away. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to have, to make this mixture, you're going to have about half of a cup of confection sugar, also known as powdered or icing sugar, and then you're going to have 2 tablespoons cocoa powder. I try to have unsweetened, but if you really don't, just cut back on the corn syrup for later. Actually, no, keep the corn syrup the same, just add more nuts if you can. But I really think it's much easier if you have unsweetened cocoa. You're going to need 1/8 of a cup of cocoa and then the 1/2 of a cup of powdered sugar. So you're just going to tap like that, and it should all come out really nice. It's much easier if you have a larger bowl. So this is a bad example of a bowl. A good example would be something more like this, just not this tall, so really a lot wider. Now you can see it close up, so it actually looks bigger. So you're definitely going to want a wide bowl, and you just want to do tap, 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 and try to power through because it does take a lot of like annoying chopping and, not chopping, annoying time consuming just power through your arms. So now we're going to pulse our mixture. Before I pulse this, I just wanted to tell you that my mom and my brother are watching Grown Ups 2 in there, so it is going to be a little loud. And I also wanted to tell you that if you haven't seen Grown Ups 2, or if you just happen to find it on TV, it is hilarious. And if you ever feel sad at all and you watch them, especially the part where that guy pokes the raft and it explodes and it like inflates and just hits him, that is hilarious. So just watch that movie if you ever feel sad. So now we're going to pulse this. To get the really, really fine look, you're just going to need to pulse it, and it's going to look like this. I can't. I'm in the middle. So the consistency is going to be kind of crumbly and really fine looking. So that's kind of what you want for when you get this. So you're just going to pour that into your big bowl, and you're also going to need a spatula for when you mix it all. So you want to take all of your pulsed walnuts and your fruitcake, pour it into the big bowl, and then add your cocoa and sifted cocoa and powdered sugar. And then you just want to stir it in with a spatula until it really comes together. So it looks like this right now. I'm going to show you when it's done, but you want to do big sweeps. So once your mixture is done, it should look or resemble something like this. And then when you're done with that, you're going to add your light corn syrup, vanilla, and Grand Marnier or rum or whatever other alcohol or extract you're going to use. So you're going to want about a tablespoon and 1/4 of alcohol or whichever other extract you can use. Then you're going to have 1 teaspoon vanilla extract and 1 tablespoon light corn syrup. I like to use Caro brand mostly because that's all I've ever seen. So you're just going to want to pour this all over the whole mixture, like And then you really want to try and get that corn syrup off of the glass container or whatever you poured the mixture into. And it'll take a little bit because it's really thick, so it almost resembles like chocolate swirling, but with corn syrup. So just get as much as you can off, and then put it over there, and then grab your spatula and try to get all that moisture from those three liquids to mix together to form like a thicker, more compact batter. And technically, when you think about it, besides the fruitcake part, this entire recipe is no bake. So that's also really awesome. And they're really easy. You just need to have your nuts and your fruitcake, confection sugar, your cocoa, your extracts, your corn syrup, your alcohol, or whatever else you're going to use. And I'm pretty sure that's it. It's kind of awesome how you can just turn fruitcake, which is something that is often hated or worshipped upon depending on who makes it. There's really no other way. I've never found a fruitcake that I liked until I tried my mom's this year at our first party on Saturday that we had. It was really awesome. So we're just going to mix all of that liquid into there till it forms something like that. Okay, so that's what you want to do. And the next step is going to be lining a baking sheet with some wax or parchment paper and taking 2 teaspoons at a time of this mixture and like scooping it into your hands actually, and then rolling the ball and then putting it on the sheet. So that's what we're going to do. But instead, I'm going to put it on the cutting board that I used to chop all this stuff. So it'll also get rid of all that stuff on the cutting board that's scraps, and then put it onto the wax paper sheet so that I don't have 2 wax paper sheets. So I suggest you go find that cutting board that you had before, remove all your other stuff that you won't need anymore. The only thing you're really going to need to scoop is like a 1 tablespoon scooper, which is dirty because I made another recipe before this of the same stuff. And when you're done, this will make about 25 balls. And they're a good size. And when you roll them in the powdered sugar, they kind of resemble a traditional truffle. So getting our cutting board out again, and you're just gonna grab some of your mixture and pack it down into the tablespoon, then rim it off. So you have like a perfect packed in tablespoon. Then you're going to peel it out with your hands, and you're going to get really, really, really greasy and smudgy from this. So just be aware that that's going to happen. There's really no way to get around it unless you wear gloves, which you can. I'm not going to. Just be aware. So you've got your 2 teaspoons. You kind of want to push it together. Depending on how much alcohol you use, you can use like 1/8 of a cup, which is 2 tablespoons. I just used a tablespoon and 1/4 because the alcohol that I'm using is super strong because it's an orange liqueur, and I'm just thinking that it's not going to need it. And it's definitely moister than my other batter that I made, so this one will come together much easier, so it won't take as much rolling. So I would suggest that whichever alcohol you use, try to have a lot of moisture, but not too much, so then it'll all come together much nicer. So just do that until you have about 25 balls, and then what you want to do is you want to take a cup, actually 1/3 of a cup. Take 1/3 of a cup of powdered sugar, sift it using the sieve again. I know you probably already hate that from doing this, or if you've done it before, you probably hate it. I hate it. I think it's just as hard as hand whipping whipped cream, to be honest. It's so much pressure on the arm and the hands. So you're gonna sift 1/3 of a cup powdered sugar, and then you're gonna like throw the balls in there and roll them really well until they're like really thick coating of powdered sugar. Then you're gonna let them rest, just sit out on like a sheet of wax paper on a baking tray for about an hour, so then they can set, because the powdered sugar needs to set and kind of like become intact to the actual fruitcake part. So that's it. Hope you enjoy, and I hope you really like these fruitcake balls / rum balls / Grand Marnier Orange Liqueur balls as much as I do. Merry Christmas, or actually Happy Holidays, because I don't know if you're Jewish or whatever. Because I know there's all types of religions out there, so I don't want to be like have favoritism towards Christianity and the ones who believe in the spirit of Christmas. So I'm just gonna say Happy Holidays.